Hurricane Irma has left a devastating mark on the Caribbean. High winds, heavy rainfall, and a massive storm surge pummeled Barbuda and St. Maarten. The storm also slammed Turks and Caicos, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico.
For me, Irma was a life-changing experience. It made me realize that life is not to be taken for granted, and we should live every single day like it's our last. You just try to live. You try to stay alive. You're trying to not die. This was really bad, and I don't want to live this again. We realized like hurricanes are regular now. However, this hurricane was like nothing we've ever seen, so it took a lot of us by surprise. The hurricane was about 8 hours of very, very dangerous environment, but the aftermath was like 3 months of no water, no electricity, living with a strict minimum, and of course, being in an environment where there's no food, there's no water, there's no electricity. It's very challenging. It really put me to the test, physically and emotionally. Now, my personal house, that house was dead, but I'm happy I didn't stay there. I stayed with my parents, so it was a good decision. After Hurricane Irma, I got back my job. I was a teacher back in the day, and I started to teach and everything, but there was something that came to a halt. The island came to a halt after the hurricane because, okay, we got back some electricity, we got back some light, but everything was still horrible. Up to this day, we still suffer from Hurricane Irma. And a lot of us turn to alcohol, turn to different substances, just to cope with that type of stress that we have. Some people, they don't have any house anymore since Irma. They still live in the streets. So they still don't have the money 7 years later. There are some people that still don't have electricity. There are still people that don't have any water. So for some people, it's still very much a current issue. People have a misconception of the environment we live in. So when they come to build in St. Maarten, they build these fancy houses. And you see some of the old houses, 100 years old, they're still standing. And you see these new designs totally blown apart. It can be very, very, very dangerous. In 2019, I decided to leave because I was getting very aggravated about the situation. It was getting very frustrating for me to see how everything was just on a standstill. But it made me realize that our island is special and it's beautiful. And if we come up with the right solution, maybe we can forge a better future. I don't think it's gonna be an experience where we just like give up and stop. No, we're gonna survive again. And to be honest, we're a strong, strong, strong community. All of this is not lost. The buildings have been broken. The motivation is low, but the people are still here, so we still have hope. I have no fear and no doubt in my mind that we can survive another environmental catastrophe. We're just super resilient, man.
I'm Dr. Antonio Carmona Baez. I currently serve as president of the University of Sint Maarten. I've been serving as president since 2018, so about a year after Hurricane Irma. We're just starting to learn the importance of having a knowledge center in a country, a young country like Sint Maarten, and what it means for its social, economic, and cultural development. And that is what USM aspires to do. It aspires to serve as a bank of knowledge that also offers knowledge to the community, to the political leaders, to the policymakers. We're looking at the arts, we're looking at the humanities, we're looking at technical studies, and we're also looking at local economic culture as found in hospitality. So among the research projects and programs that we host here, The largest is Islanders at the Helm, which is a 5-year research program that is sponsored by NWO, which is the Dutch Research Council. We have a PhD researcher, Ms. Aga Kuś, who has been here already 3 years, conducting research, talking to members of the community, trying to understand the culture of home building and also local knowledges regarding sustainability. And so together with the community, by engaging with the community, that is how we co-create possible solutions, suggested solutions to affordable housing and climate-proof housing here on Sint Maarten.
Let me start and welcome you on board.
The element that makes your house a home for yourself. A dream home.
So I'm Aga Kuś. I'm a PhD researcher at the TU Delft University in the Netherlands. I work at the Islanders at the Helm Research Project, which is meant to deal with the climate challenges on the island. Each of the year I try to stay a few months to be able to interact with people, conduct interviews, because I also believe in the knowledge that people have and how people experience their hurricanes and their life, that this kind of knowledge based on the community and the experience of one can actually improve the building practices. I believe that all of the people should have access to live in the houses that are safe for them, that keep them comfortable, that are well to be living and that they call homes for themselves. What I notice is that people already have the capacity to build and they have a lot of knowledge. This knowledge is not always adequate to the context because there is a lot of migration and each of the contexts are different. So what I tried to focus on was more about the community engagement to make sure that we try to gather the knowledge that the contractors and the architects and the experts from built environment have here that is normally not accessible to the people living on the island, especially to the low-income people, and try to put all of this information in a form that could guide people into building their houses that are more safe and hurricane resistant, but also offer them comfort so that they can use those principles to develop their houses by themselves. So in the first year, I did more of the overview and the mapping of the island, trying to identify which are the neighborhoods where the low-income people are actually living, what are the conditions and what are the main struggles. So we did more of the community interaction by just going to different places in a very informal way, chatting with people, trying to understand their histories, their perspective, what are they looking for. And I noticed that there is an urgent need for having this conversation and this support because people, especially from low-income neighborhoods, were very welcoming, you know, and they would take me by a hand and be like, see my house, see my house. Maybe you have any idea, you know, and I'm not a civil engineer, I'm not qualified to give such advices, but I can always take a look and try to, together with people, understand what could be a possible solutions. The second year we went a little bit further. We tried to understand, based on the mapping that we did, what are the type of housing that are predominant on the island. We identified 6 different housing types based on the materials, which were concrete houses, wooden houses, container houses, and so on and so forth, and conducted interviews asking people about their story, how the materials actually were working over the years, what were the challenges that they were facing, and how they overcome it. And in the following year, I decided to build a tool to engage more with people and understand more of the preferences and the choices that people are making. It came in the form of a card game. We use it both for engagement with the community members within different houses. We ask the people about their opinion, which material would be the safest choice, which one they find more comfortable, and which one is in their perception the most beautiful one. And we also conducted the same kind of interviews and sessions with the builders to see what is the difference. However, the conclusion was that people are still very hurt, very traumatized by Irma, so they are trying to build in the most resistant and safe way possible. However, those houses are not really good for the climate of Sint Maarten. because it becomes a very strong concrete bunker that overheats. And also on the top of that, it's not that the concrete is the safest material, right? There is also the quality of the material that it's putting in, the mix of the materials. People would be often putting sand from the beaches into the concrete mix, and the salt causes corrosion with the steel elements. So based on that workshop, we try to look for more innovative ways of constructing. We noticed that St. Maarten does not only need to focus on the safe housing and building back better and stronger, as the slogan for Irma was, they also need to think about the climate principles. So how to combine this dilemma of the tropics, of having a strong house, but also having a comfortable house, which is not going to overheat. Well, I don't think there is one solution that can answer for all of the challenges, right? It's all depending on what people need, what people want, what kind of budget they have, right? So we organize a 3 rounds of workshops together with students, building experts, architects and staff at the University of St. Maarten. During this workshop, we produced 9 different prototypes for future housing that could be used in St. Maarten, using the principles that the students developed and the ideas of the dream houses that the students have. So we try to combine the dream of people and the idea of how they want to live with the principles of building in a safe and comfortable way. And with that design, we created an exhibition that was happening last Thursday in Axum, presenting the ideas, the 9 different housing prototypes that could serve as an idea of how to tangibly develop such a housing prototype on the island, but also to enter on the discussion what are the challenges and opportunities that we have on the island. We had a great turnout. We had around 35-40 people participating, showing a huge enthusiasm, engaging with architects, other people who are building experts, and presenting their ideas for a future housing for St. Maarten.
We've got to work on our infrastructural processes as well, not just on our awareness.
We want to make this a lively city, and we want to bring science and research to the community. We want the community to give us their input, and to see the USM students are here. I'm very, very proud of it. I'm very proud of you.
The best thing about it is innovation. Young people have the ideas, you know what I mean? So we could easily innovate to create something even like more stable or more sturdy in the future, you know? So innovation is the name of the game, you know, so.
These are long processes, so we focus.
I have a background in architecture and structural engineering, working with an architectural firm, but then going to the government as an advisor to the government. So that is, in a nutshell, where I came from. So I was exposed to a lot of what the developments within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and so they gave me a lot of experience over the many years.
I work as an academic, I work in academia. My assignment was to write, to produce the knowledge, right? So it was about collecting the data, organizing the data, cleaning it up, analyzing it and putting it into articles. But I didn't feel that that was sufficient, that was enough to actually support the projects that are happening here and the people that we are getting this knowledge. So we're trying to avoid the kind of science that is just extracting the knowledge for the benefit of myself or other academics who are working in the context. We felt that we really need to give all of the findings and all of the ideas that we have and we develop back to people. We had a great turnout and a great enthusiasm in the last rounds of this event. So I believe that the biggest success of this project is actually not to keep all of the ideas in the drawer and hidden from people and just accessible for academics and highly educated people, but also making them available for the people in here and seeing that people are interested and want to implement them in their daily life and in their housing. I guess that would be the most important part. And I truly enjoyed all of the interactions that we had here on the island, being able to speak with people, have a drink together with them and listen to their story and trying to accommodate their story into our project and learn our lessons, but also communicating the knowledge that those people gather through their experiences I believe that's the biggest part of the success, to be able to share the knowledge of the work. Right now, we've been working for 4 years, engaging with many different people, and we saw some enthusiasm and we saw some support for certain individuals, but we are still lacking funds or lacking opportunities to be able to actually put it into action. And I feel that every year that I've been coming here, there's been more proactiveness and more support that I'm getting from community. And the project is actually now really on the hype, so I feel that it would be a pity to miss this flow, you know, and try to actually put it in action and create something tangible that could be beneficial for the people living here. Of course, if the government would be willing to support us, that would be fantastic. If there would be other external investors that would also like to have a prototype of the housing tested and would offer the land, because the issue of the land in Sint Maarten, it's very, very difficult to acquire the land, so that we could actually test certain ideas and see how they perform in practice over the years and inform people like, hey, this worked in this way, this really didn't. You know how these large organizations around the world are trying to come with a perfect housing solutions and prototypes, and then they put all of them one next to another, and it looks super monotonous, super boring, without any soul and any feeling of home that people have. And I don't personally believe that's the right way to go. So you need to listen to people and give them the information so that together with an architect or a consultant, they can actually implement the solutions that they believe that they can afford, knowing the consequences that it has for a longer run. So how actually their houses is going to perform and what it means in terms of maintenance and the upkeep that they will have to conduct in the future. So what we are trying to do right now is to put those principles into action. And since there's been a little bit of challenges in actually implementing the ideas that we are writing about and that we are talking about and are present in the academic world, we are trying to see how to develop something that people can see and touch and experience and know that this could actually work in the future. So we believe that creating a small housing prototype or several housing prototypes that people can learn from and experience and then replicate it within their own housing structures.
Prior to Hurricane Irma, there were plans to add on to the infrastructure here at USM campus. And among the plans, we had as well student housing. Of course, that required a lot of investment. After the hurricane, that investment was no longer available. But since Islanders at the Helm was established, I think that looking for energy efficient and affordable housing could solve a problem that we have on Sint Maarten, and that is the rising cost of homes. We know that there are many people that come from Europe and North America to buy their second or third home here on Sint Maarten. This, of course, jacks up the prices of property, making it difficult for young professionals or the young middle class of Sint Maarten to afford their own homes. So I think that a study with USM and a study concentrating on student housing, of course, will have an impact and, of course, stimulate the search for sustainable solutions for Sint Maarten residents.
You know, what I understood that you need to look for the right people, because even if the institution is skeptical and there is not so much support that they can offer to you, there is going to be people, there's going to be very enthusiastic people who want to see the change, who are willing to put the time and energy to help you out with that. And once those people meet together, they can create something very powerful. You know, we had this amazing coincidence that we didn't know about. My students came to the island beginning of November. They stayed here 3 months. I was able to join them beginning of January. And I found out that just a week later, this team of Germans are coming to the island and they are going to be shooting videos for the marketing purposes of Sint Maarten. However, we found this opportunity an excellent chance for us to enter into collaborations. So we continue with our project on the workshop and community engagement, and they were nicely enough and supporting enough to offer their voluntary work to work alongside us and document the entire project and the process of making it so that the world can know about it. And we are very grateful about it.
You guys are amazing, honestly. No, honestly.
Well, thank you guys for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you.
I really look forward to seeing the video. I'm going to share it. Let's get a lot of views. Let's go, man.